In this appendix video, I'll take a deep dive into a relatively unknown aspect of both the vanilla games and AOTR, stacking various sources of healing to increase the speed of healing units. I'll cover both heroes and normal units only, disregarding heroic units and monsters altogether for the sake of convenience. Much of what you'll see in this video, though, is heavily timed for accurate rates of healing comparisons. Not very interesting stuff, I hate to say. But I kept this intact so as to prove the point I'm making, which can only be done by keeping the normal speed for everything intact. Fast forwarding is a beautiful thing, but so is a quick overview for everyone not willing to do that. So here's a quick breakdown of this whole mini-series. ROTWK 9.0 used to let you stack 3 wells before patch 9.1, which took that away entirely, and AOTR 8.3.1 can stack 9 wells to heal normal units at super speeds. What's the same between the vanilla patches and AOTR? You can also increase the speed of healing heroes if you garrison them in structures like arrow towers and dormitories. Furthermore, wells increase the healing rate of heroes in both the vanilla patches and AOTR 8.3.1, but only if you have more than one well and the heroes are in guard stands. And that's the end of the breakdown. So if you dare, please continue on for the boring proofs. In this video, I'll show you the differences various sources of healing can make on healing up your heroes. We'll look at just one hero, King Dane, comparing between the vanilla patches of 9.0 to 9.2 and AOTR 8.3.1, and we'll keep them at level 10, looking first at the healing rate without any sources of healing, and then seeing what differences various sources can make, and whether those sources are worth investing in to make sure your hero stays alive. Let's first take a look at heroes. It's a common assumption amongst players I've seen in either game that heroes heal faster when in the presence of a well. However, this is not true, as you will see. I've preserved the game speed in this recording so as to preserve the authenticity of it. Not to everyone's liking, but that's what the fast forward button is for. It should be noted up front that healing rates are different for every hero in either vanilla or AOTR, but that each hero takes longer to heal up the higher the level in both games as well. I'm using only Dane for convenience. Just because there is the same hero in both games does not necessarily mean healing takes the same amount of time. I've also zoomed in on each recording so you can more easily track with the healing rate, but zooming in zooms out the hero level, so here's a shot of all the comparisons to let you know that King Dane is at level 10 for each of them. So if you're so inclined, sit back and relax yourself for a couple minutes to some epic tunes. Dane will be at 25% health to start, as defined in the World Builder. Let's see it happen. This healing rate does not change for similar sources of healing either, such as healing upgrades you can get for fortresses. However, if you garrison a hero inside either an arrow tower, a dormitory, or have multiple wells, you can increase the healing speed. Depending on the level of the hero and which hero it is, the amount of time this can save you will vary. For multiple wells, you do not have to have 9 wells as shown here to increase the healing rate. I chose 9 wells for symmetry with what you'll see with single battalions in the next part of this mini-series. As you can see, these sources of healing do save you time. In this case, with Dane in both Vanilla and AOTR at level 10, you only save about 5 seconds. Not that much, but when timing is everything, it matters. One last comparison should be made. In the recording with 9 wells, you may have noticed Dane was put in guard stance. This simple change of stance allows heroes to heal faster in the vicinity of multiple wells, but it does not work with just a single well. If you're in any other stance, even with multiple wells, your hero's healing rate will be the same as having no wells at all. As for other sources of healing in AOTR, there is a particularly odd discrepancy. If you use certain summonable sources of healing, like Bard's Fish Barrel, it does not increase the healing rate but seems to slow it down. And while the Fish Barrel only lasts so long, it shouldn't make this kind of a negative impact. In this case, by some 6 seconds, and this is the same with certain rare units like the special in-unit called the Sentinels of the Woody End, which clarify in their description that they do indeed heal heroes. These are clearly bugs of some sort. While they don't slow the healing rate by a dramatic amount, it's still that much more time wasted when timing matters. Now, in a video with a title such as Stacking Sources of Healing, you would think that Bard's Fish Barrel, a well, and the Sentinels would all stack for increased healing of heroes, especially since they're all different sources of healing. Well, unfortunately, that is not the case. Now you can see the Sentinel's ability clearly reads they heal heroes, but not so much. Watch. So let's move on to how normal units heal up. There is a great deal of difference to be found with normal units, worth going into some detail about, ranging from one battalion to a whole army. Healing with wells is a common enough element of gameplay in both the vanilla game and in AOTR, but what I rarely see anyone do in either game is go the gusto on the limit of wells you can build. In each game, the more wells you build within the small healing radius for one or several battalions, the faster that healing occurs. In the vanilla game, before the 9.1 patch, the maximum number of wells you could stack for the shortest wait time possible was 3 wells. Now, ever since that patch, you cannot stack wells at all. However, in the Age of the Ring mod, you can stack up to 9. There are some noteworthy healing speed differences between each game, so let's first take a look at the differences between wait times for one battalion per game and several battalions, as there are some odd discrepancies between these for each game. We'll start this at 1 well for each game and then end with the max, not doing any in between, just for convenience. Here you'll see a pretty noticeable difference between 9.0 and 9.2. Dwarven Guardian battalion sizes are different. AOTR 8.3 is based off 9.0 or earlier, so naturally preserves the smaller battalion size of those versions. To clarify, I'll start the timer at the moment the units enter into the healing radius and end it the very moment the last new troops appear. All troops start at the same health, 25% as defined in the World Builder, and are 10 to 15 units per battalion. I'll keep the normal speed of the recording once again to preserve the authenticity of it. Let's take a look. You saw that 9.2 was shown with 3 wells, but this is just to emphasize that there is no difference between 3 wells and 1, as I mentioned earlier. Now let's jump to the max well limit, looking at 1 battalion still. Vanilla has 4 wells, while AOTR has 9. I recorded this a long time ago before 9.1 was released and officially revealed that the max stackable limit on wells was 3. I thought, based on my testing at the time, that it was 4, but you'll see in a second that 4 wells do heal faster than 3. Given that 9.2 doesn't stack wells, naturally it will not be shown in this demonstration. Major difference. At only 4 seconds to heal up a whole battalion versus Vanilla's 14, AOTR clearly wins the day. And this speed for Vanilla remains for a single battalion however many wells you have past 4. But look at 9.0 at 3 wells. can see clearly that it takes 33 seconds for this battalion to heal up, twice as long as with 4 wells. Yet the official patch report said the max stack was 3. A typo? Not sure. As you can see, the more wells you have in either game, the faster healing gets. These figures are not always the same in testing, but they remain always within a couple of seconds. This is but one example of some of the strange discrepancies. So now we'll come to the oddest one: healing armies. The speed for healing armies is quite different compared to healing individual battalions. We'll continue to look at just Vanilla 9.0 and AOTR 8.3 for this, since healing armies in Vanilla 9.2 stays at the same speed as healing individual battalions. We'll look at the max stack in both 9.0 and AOTR, 4 wells for 9.0 and 9 for AOTR. The army size will be 6 battalions for each game. All units will be at 25% health as defined in the World Builder. I'll be using the same kinds of units as before, Dwarven Guardians, which are 10 units per battalion in Vanilla 9.0 and AOTR 8.3.1. As before, I'll begin the timer the first moment the units enter into the healing radius of the wells, and end at the moment the very last troops appear. As you may recall, healing one battalion in Vanilla 9.0 at 4 wells was 15 seconds, but with an army of 6 battalions, it's 25 seconds. And in AOTR, healing one battalion at 9 wells took 4 seconds, but an army is now 13. But the discrepancies get even stranger still. Remember how I said you cannot stack more than 4 wells in Vanilla 9.0? This is true with single battalions, but not with an army. Watch this. "15 seconds compared to 25 at 4 wells. This is about the same speed in AOTR as we saw a moment ago. If you try any more than 9 wells for either game, it's the same speed. Very strange discrepancies indeed. So basically Vanilla 9.0 and AOTR differ quite a bit in terms of the healing speeds of wells until you get up to 4 and 9 wells for each game respectively. Now there is one last oddity. Here is Vanilla at 16 wells for one test I did. No idea what's going on here. I have tried other tests like 18 or 20 wells in both Vanilla and AOTR, both of which remain around 12 to 15 seconds. This one test seems to be either a bug of some sort, or there's something going on with the mechanics of how healing works in either game I don't fully understand. Regardless, as you've seen, healing with multiple wells, either just doing a single battalion or many, is definitely the way to go to minimize wait times and get your units back in the fight. I don't see players doing this, and it's likely in part because many don't know, and in part because, well, who wants to take the time? Wells are fragile, and this can use up a good deal of time that can be used elsewhere. But if you're so inclined, such as in a good PvE, where you can afford to be more slow or even paced, it's a worthwhile mechanic of the game for sure. It's kinda just fun knowing this is something you can do if you want to. Of course, this is for Vanilla 9.0 and not for 9.2. It's my hope that this fun feature that's been in the game for years and years will be brought back in future vanilla patches, as it rewards players who want to take the time to set them up and skillfully defend them. Bring back stacking wells in vanilla, but at least AOTR still has it.